Namaskar and good evening. Your Excellency, Mrs. Ruchi Ghanasham, High Commissioner of India to the UK, Sarod Maestro, Ustad Amjad Ali Khan Sahab and his lovely family, Mrs. Subbalakshmi Khan, his sons Aman and Ayan, Mr. Charanjit Singh, Deputy High Commissioner, eminent conductor Dr. David Murphy, distinguished guests. It is my pleasure and privilege to welcome you all to the book launch of Master on Masters by Ustad Amjad Ali Khan. Just a gentle reminder to please keep your mobile phones on silent. We will begin this evening by lighting the lamp. May I request Her Excellency Mrs. Ruchi Ghanasham and Ustad Amjad Ali Khan Sahab to please come up on stage to light the lamp. Music touches our deepest emotions and has the power to soothe us, to erase negative feelings, to connect us with one another, and to take us to a higher plane. Music maestros possess the power to harness the notes of music and create truly spiritual energy which brings mankind together. We are privileged to have with us today one of the undisputed masters of the music world, Ustad Amjad Ali Khan. Born to Sarod Maestro Hafiz Ali Khan, he gave his first performance at the age of 6 and is credited with reinventing the technique of playing the sarod. Over the course of a distinguished career spanning more than 6 decades, Khan Sahab has won numerous accolades, including a Grammy nomination, the Crystal Award by the World Economic Forum, UNICEF's National Ambassadorship, the Fukuoka Cultural Grand Prize, and the Padma Vibhushan from the Government of India. He has performed at venues the world over, including Carnegie Hall and the Royal Albert Hall, as well as at the prestigious Nobel Peace Prize concert in 2014, Oslo, Norway. Samagam, his first sarod concerto, has been performed by the Britain Sinfonia, Orchestre National d'Île-de-France, Orchestre d'Auvergne, New Jersey Symphony Orchestra, London Philharmonia, Gulbenkian Orchestra, Welsh National Opera, and Scottish Chamber Orchestra. Ustad Amjad Ali Khan has also been a visiting professor at Stanford University, University of New Mexico, and Jacobs School of Music. He recently received the coveted Global Music Awards under the Gold Medal category for outstanding contribution to the global music industry and excellence in the classical music sphere. The United Nations Day Concert 2018 featured Ustad Amjad Ali Khan, accompanied by his sons, Aman Ali Bangash and Ayan Ali Bangash, and the Refugee Orchestra project conducted by Lydia Yankovskaya. This year's concert to Mahatma Gandhi was themed on traditions of peace and nonviolence, in the presence of Antonio Guterres, Secretary General of the United Nations. Interestingly, Aman and Ayan, his sons, co-authored a book in 2003, published by Roli Books, called Abba, Lord's Greatest Gifts to Us, which was released right here at the Nehru Center. This is the book which inspired Khan Saab to write on his father, My Father, Our Fraternity, his first book. We will find out by the evening what inspired him to write Master on Masters. Our moderator tonight is Dr. David Murphy, a champion of British music with a long and illustrious history of pioneering projects with the Masters of Indian Classical Music. Dr. Murphy is a fellow of the Royal Society of the Arts. His orchestral conducting sees him work with many of the world's leading ensembles. Dr. Murphy began his musical studies as a violinist. He was awarded a full scholarship to the Purcell School, where the influence of legendary violinist Yehudi Menuhin sparked his interest in Indian classical music along with yoga and Indian philosophy. In 1990, he formed his own chamber orchestra, Sinfonia Verdi, a versatile orchestra which features virtuoso musicians performing traditional classical repertoire and newly commissioned work in collaboration with musicians from diverse cultures. Dr. Murphy was honored to orchestrate and give the world premiere of Samagam with Ustad Amjad Ali Khan and the Scottish Chamber Orchestra, which was recorded to great acclaim. May I now invite Her Excellency Mrs. Ghanashyam and Mr. Charanjit Singh to please come up on stage along with Ustad Amjad Ali Khan and Dr. Murphy to officially unveil the book. I would request Khan Saab and Dr. Murphy to please take a seat on stage. And I would request Her Excellency, the High Commissioner of India, Mrs. Ruchi Ghanshyam, to say a few words.
Good evening. Thank you so much for doing the honors for us this evening. Program director, as they call them in South Africa, where I was before. Our honored guest for this evening, Ustad Amjad Ali Khan Sahib. Colleagues, ladies and gentlemen, dear friends, thank you so much for coming here this evening. I think I can't thank Ustad Amjad Ali Khan Sahib enough for honoring this Nehru Center. I think truly when people of his stature step into this building, it fulfills the purpose for which the Nehru Center exists. Plato said, and I quote, Music gives a soul to the universe, wings to the mind, flight to the imagination, and life to everything. If I may add to this, I would say that music maestros like Ustad Amjad Ali Khan Sahib are themselves an entire universe of music. With these words, I extend a warm welcome to Ustad Amjad Ali Khan Sahib, his wife, the beautiful and warm Subbalakshmi ji, the two young future of Sarod, sitting so modestly behind, and all our distinguished audience to this Nehru Center. I'm sure that everyone gathered here can feel that the air in this auditorium of the Nehru Center is especially still today, in awe of the presence of our great maestro here today. Khan Sahib is among the greatest masters and legends of Indian classical music, whose contribution to enrich classical music, culture, and traditions of India is of immeasurable importance. His music is rooted in tradition, but not bound by it. In his long and successful musical journey, he has explored the unexplored. He has successfully taken the Sarod to different parts of the world, both through his concerts and his recordings. The most befitting and glowing admiration and acknowledgement of Khan Sahib's breathtaking virtuosity came from another legend of Indian classical music, Ustad Bismillah Khan Sahib. In one of Ustad Amjad Ali Khan Sahib's concerts, which continued well into the early morning, Ustad Bismillah Khan Sahib was in the audience. He wanted to go for his morning namaz. However, he was so moved by the performance that he felt a strong connection with God and thought to himself that Sangeet bhi to ibadat hai, and decided to skip his namaz. It is a distinct honor for me to have launched, along with Khan Sahib, the book Master on Masters. Ustad Bismillah Khan Sahib's personal experience, which I just mentioned, is from this book. The book constitutes a pleasant journey through a vast span of more than 100 years of Indian classical music, with a delightful company of Ustad Khan Sahib, touching 12 greatest icons of the Indian classical music. It makes a fascinating reading about the legends of Indian classical music, the great ghazal singers, Bade Ghulam Ali Khan and Begum Akhtar, the melodious M.S. Subbalakshmi ji, the great Shehnai Maestro Bismillah Khan Sahib, Pandit Ravi Shankar ji, Bhim Sen Joshi ji, and many more. The close glimpse which one can get on the lives of the 12 maestros reading this book is both unforgettable and rewarding. This book is unique in its presentation of the legends and their music. It explains their music without getting technical, making it easy and interesting for everyone. The book outlines their journey over time, their struggles, their successes, and so on. What makes the book most interesting is Ustad Amjad Ali Khan Sahib's personal touch and the wealth of his personal interactions with the maestros that he has written about and their music, which he has shared throughout the book. The book helps us to connect with the legends, and this is the book's greatest quality. Amjad Ali Khan Sahib has brought out many less known and interesting qualities of each maestro's music and inspiring facets of their lives. About Malika-e-Ghazal, Begum Akhtar Amjad Sahib writes that the speciality of her concerts was that no matter how many people were present in the audience, each person listening to her felt that she was singing just for him or her. This is among the best tributes that can be paid to Begum Akhtar Sahiba. I am sure that through the discussion on the book, we will see more jewels of your personal experience and interactions with these maestros. Khan Sahib, we look forward to listening to some interesting moments of your life. Thank you so much, and thank you so much for coming here today to do the honors for us. Thank you.
Thank you, Your Excellency. We now have a short documentary on Ustad Amjad Ali Khan Sahib, which we would like to screen. We will now begin the main segment of this evening, which includes book reading and discussion. Over to you, Dr. Murphy and Ustad Amjad Ali Khan Sahib.
Namaskar. I would like to welcome all of you here, especially our Indian High Commissioner Ruchi Ghanshyamji, Mr. Ghanshyam, Deputy High Commissioner Mr. Charanjit Singh. To write on other musicians is a very difficult matter. And how it happened, I don't know. But I miss their presence, all these musicians. And the reason of writing on only these 12 musicians, because I had my personal equation. I went to their house, they came to my house. And I grew up listening to them, and I was participating in the same festivals they were performing. One day, if I have played 6 hours, a concert, next day Ravi Shankar ji will play for 7 hours. So these kind of, participations, and so I miss them, I miss their presence, and it's my humble tribute to all these great masters. And I'm very grateful to Maestro David Murphy, who is here, and we have a long association with him. And though he is an expert of European music, but he understands Indian classical music equally. And I had the honor of working with him, and he has been a great help whenever I'm composing and writing a composition. So over to Mr. Dr. David Murphy.
Thank you very much, Khan Saab. And it's wonderful to share a stage with you again. Normally we have musical instruments around us. So this is a different experience, but it's, I'm sure, going to be fascinating. And it's wonderful also to be in the room with Mr. Subbulakshmi Khan and Aman and Ayan sitting there at the back. Very often they would be on the stage as well with us, of course. So, and then after a performance, we may well retire to your residence and have the most fantastic hospitality from Mrs. Khan, who's, I think you will agree, a very important part of, of the whole.
It's a weakness of every musician.
Yes.
To have a good food.
Yeah, exactly. And I know Mrs. Khan was also a wonderful dancer very early in her career. So when two artists come together, they produce the wonderful next generation as well. So this is the book that I've Khan Sahib gave me a copy of the book some time ago, and it's a fascinating journey, especially for somebody like me, coming from a Western classical background, but having worked with several of the greats of Indian classical music. It's so fascinating to have this insider's view, because Khan Sahib has grown up with these legendary musicians, and is also, I believe, the very first Indian musician to write about his colleagues in this way. It's a different approach. It's a very open-hearted approach to take each one of these different unique personalities and their different contribution to music, and then explore their lives through this very personal contact that Khan Sahib has had with them. So I just wanted to maybe ask on behalf of the audience, why these particular 12? There could be people that think, there are other musicians that maybe you would have written about. And why these 12? Why did they appeal mostly?
You see, I'm not writing a history of Indian classical music. It's just my personal equation. And they were the musicians. Because of them, Indian classical music became popular. They were the legends, they were the pillars. Because of them. Now, sometimes people say Indian music is dying. But the fact is, the people who made it popular, they are no more.
Yes.
So it's not dying. There are so many talented young musicians today also. But only writing on these 12 great musicians because of my personal equation. And they were the trendsetters, they were the pillars. They became an institution. I mean, everybody said they belong to Itawa Gharana, they belong to Mayyar Gharana, Falana Gharana, Ye Gharana. But each musician, Ravi Shankar ji, created a style of his own. He was the trendsetter, the way he played sitar. Or Vilayat Khan Sahib, he became an institution himself. So that is the, those people, I'm missing them, and that's why it's a tribute to all of them.
And Khan Sahib, you've asked me to read two sections from the book. You would probably prefer to hear Khan Sahib read these sections from his book, but he's asked me to do it, so I'm very honored to...
Which one are you reading?
So we thought I'd read a section on M.S. Subbulakshmi.
M.S. Subbulakshmi, yes.
So just a short extract from this section. Once in Hyderabad in the mid-1990s, a prestigious South Indian Sabha was honoring M.S. Subbulakshmi and me with the Sangeeta Sargam Award.
Sangeet Sagaram.
Thank you. There'll be lots of these corrections, I'm sure. The Chief Minister, Vijay Bhaskar Reddy,
Vijay Bhaskar Reddy,
thank
yes.
you, was to present the awards. I have always admired and appreciated South Indian organizations and the way they create spiritually rich award ceremonies. First, Mr. Reddy invited MS for the ceremony. She was requested to sit on a beautiful chair while Mr. Reddy stood and performed the rituals to honor the legend. Later, when my citation was read out and I went on the stage, the Chief Minister requested me to sit on the same chair. Until then, I had imagined MS had been asked to take a seat because of her age, but I was pleasantly surprised to find the same treatment being accorded to me. Her husband, Sadasivam, had spoken on her behalf. When it was my turn to speak, I saw MS looking at me. In my speech, I said that I was fortunate to have two Subbulakshmis in my life, my mother and my wife. MS gave me a beautiful smile. MS's husband, Sadasivam, was an imposing, tall figure. He was the proprietor of the popular Tamil magazine Kalki. In turn, she gained her friend, philosopher, and guide. Sadasivam passed away in 1997. Just a few months before his tragic death, we had visited their residence. In Chennai, whenever I visited a friend's home for lunch, I'm always eager to have a cup of South Indian filter coffee. But that day at MS's residence, in long steel cups, something else arrived. I saw MS watching my expressions as I sipped the concoction. The moment she saw my face and my reaction, she promptly said, "It's Horlicks."
It's wholly good for health.
I nodded. She added, "Good for health." I said, "Yes, of course." It was a parasadam for me, and it was an offering from the legendary M.S. Subbulakshmi. I visited MS's residence in Chennai with my entire family on several occasions, and many times she attended my concerts in Chennai. MS was very keen that our whole family should visit the Kanchipuram for the darshan of Paramacharya.
Shankaracharya
Thank you.
of Kanjipuram, Chandrasekharendra Periyar. Yes.
And that's really how it concludes, that she made the arrangements.
But I also would like to add that till the time I have just heard the name of M.S. Subbulakshmi, I had no opportunity to meet her. So I used to hear that very famous singer M.S. Subbulakshmi. One day I was driving my car and my radio was on and some lady was singing Carnatic music, and it was so appealing that it was difficult for me to drive. Then finally I stopped my car and I was waiting for the announcement, and I thought she might be M.S. Subbulakshmi. When the announcement was that she was M.S. Subbulakshmi. So her music was so spiritual. There are so many definitions of music, but I would only say that appealing or non-appealing. Music has to be appealing or non-appealing, whether it is classical or non-classical or Western or Eastern. Music should be appealing. What next would you like to read?
So the second extract is from Alaraka.
Yes, Ustad Amjad Ali.
And it's his 100th anniversary, isn't it?
Yes, it's a centenary year.
Yeah. So another wonderful, wonderful, very great musical genius. So Alaraka Khan Sahib gave me a different dimension to tabla playing. His training as a vocalist probably influenced his tabla playing too, as evidenced in the sometimes almost vocal inflections and nuances that characterized his artistry. His control over Laya was impeccable, and his intimate understanding of the intricate layakari of the instrumentalists he played with was uncanny. He had a varied range of bowls in his repertoire. His Rela and Keda were always interesting. He, of course, had excelled in the Turkas. He could be extremely free with the tals he chose to play, and his tal Vistar moved enthusiasts for many decades. His popularity as a tabla player may be due in large measure to the fact that he was one of those rare musicians who was able to totally engage the mind of his listener in what he was playing. Ala Raka, Kishan Maharaj, and Samta Prasad, these three tabla icons were like a trinity of heroes. They were in such demand in their heyday that no music festival would be deemed a success without them. Secretaries of most music festivals in India would block the dates of these legends first, even before the dancers and musicians. In those days, the organizers would inform us whether Krishna Maharaj, Ala Raka, or Samta Prasad would play with us. Ala Raka's real journey, however, began with Pandit Ravi Shankar on worldwide concert tours. The pair of Ravi Shankar and Ala Raka was legendary, one that played the world over at many prestigious festivals, concert halls and stages. In fact, Khan Sahab was the first tabla maestro to collaborate with a jazz drummer, Buddy Rich. The album was hailed as a landmark and a seminal recording. He also performed with the distinguished American pianist, Rosalind Turek. Khan Sahab was awarded the Padma Shri in 1977 and the Sangeet Natak Academy Award in 1982. As a young boy, I attended many concerts where Ala Raka performed with Kathak dancers Sitara Devi and Birju Maharaj, and also with other instrumentalists. He played with many great South Indian musicians too, especially percussionists. I remember playing with him while accompanying Abbas Sahab in Uttarpara, West Bengal.
Uttarpara.
Thank you. In 1959 and 60. I played with him in Calcutta in 1959 at the Nishit Music Festival, organized by Badal Dar Chowdhury. It was a memorable concert.
Badal Dhar Chaudhary.
Thank you. It was a memorable concert. After the concert, Khan Sahab took me to the residence of Das Babu, where he was staying. Das Babu's family were very kind and hospitable. Khan Sahab was quite fond of delicious food and gave directions for the preparation. I really enjoyed the meal. Khan Sahab was a kind, compassionate, and generous musician.
And his greatest contribution is Ustad Zakir Hussain.
Absolutely, yes.
In our Indian classical music, we always been hearing that Swar hi Ishwar hai. The way music, we worship through music. And this, in every religion, the sound play a very important role. Whether you call it mantra or shloka or geet or sangeet or shabad, everything is based on the sound. So Swar hi Ishwar hai is a beautiful expression. But for you, I can only explain that music connects you to God.
Exactly, and as I've heard you say many times, and we've talked about in our collaborations, that there are basically only the 7 notes in the scale, and whichever tradition you come from, whether it's the East, West, anywhere on the planet, Africa, China, these same notes are what are accessible, and they're the notes that connect us all.
Yes. But unfortunately, Indian classical music generally is, people think improvisation is the most important thing. It has been connected with improvisation, but there is improvisation in jazz music also. But jazz enjoy the freedom of using all the 12 notes wherever they want. But we improvise within the set rule of ascending and descending. But more than improvisation, we have these slides and glides, which are unique expression. Even children can improvise. There's nothing great in improvisation. But the slides, the mead, what we call in Hindi, da, ra, ra, na, ra, ra, and the ornamentation. So these expression, it is not in any music of the world. So whenever I am composing the orchestra, whenever I am writing for orchestra, I avoid all these expressions because European musicians are not used to it, they are not comfortable in it, and they can't maintain the unity also.
And what's really interesting for us, coming from the Western classical music tradition, is of course Western music is based on keyboard instruments. So the piano was played such an important part in the development of Western music. And because this is basically a machine, it has a key that you press for each individual notes. For 500 or 600 years in the West, we couldn't do these slides and glides. The violin, of course, could do them, but the main instrument that was dominating, the piano and the harpsichord, it was impossible to connect the notes in this way. So Indian music went in one direction, this beautiful ancient 5,000-year-old tradition, 5,000 years plus, and Western music was developing something completely different. And the challenge for us as musicians is bringing those two completely different worlds together. But I think we found a way that if one goes to the roots of the music and you find the things that we share in common, which is the basic sound and the 7 notes or the 12 notes, whichever way you look at it, that comes from that basic sound, then we can find a way that we share on an equal footing the music of the East and the West, and we can bring them together in a way that's harmonious and beautiful and doesn't compromise the great tradition of Indian classical music or the tradition of Western classical music. And that's a fascinating journey that we've been on now for about a decade or so.
Yes. So I have mentioned the qualities of our Indian music, but there are negative points also in our music. I wish our ancestors should have written books and they should have advised musicians which rag to play for how long. Because every rag doesn't have that kind of freedom to improvise for 1 hour or 2 hours. But I see a lot of musicians, they don't care whether the rag allow that kind of improvisation or not. So it becomes a prestige issue that they have to perform a rag for 1.5 hours or 2 hours. Now sometime I also played for 2-3 hours or whole night in Calcutta from 9 p.m. to 7 in the morning. But slowly and gradually I realized that music is the name of quality, not quantity. How long you sang, how long you played, doesn't matter. It's not a marathon. So a composition, when the composition is created, compositions were created to preserve the rag. If I begin the concert with a composition, so the rag is complete. But unfortunately, we Indians, we follow blindly convention, and we call it a tradition. There's a slight difference between tradition and convention. Convention is a very unhealthy word, which I don't respect. Whether it is classical music or religion, we blindly follow, nobody question ever. In any religion, nobody question. And similarly in classical music, nobody question. So I feel for the younger generation, they must always give happiness and pleasure, anand, to the audience. Because sometimes long improvisation becomes very boring and it becomes very repetitive, but nobody can tell the artist that you are being repetitive, you are boring. So when the time has come, the musician should be allotted time that you are, please only perform for 20 minutes or half an hour. Or I want 5 compositions in 1 hour. This is the time, you see, because this is the way we can create more interest among the people.
And it's very interesting with the collaborative projects that the musicians, because for Western music we have notation and the pieces have to last a certain amount of time. The Western musicians have to learn the skills of being flexible and sometimes improvising as well, which is a huge challenge, but a really, really healthy one for musicians growing up in the Western tradition to explore, because it opens a whole new way of approaching music.
But they enjoy improvising.
They love it, absolutely love it, because any fine musician has this need to express, and it's such a wonderful thing to be able to express along with musicians like Kansab, and to be free to create the music in the moment. Because even if you're playing a piece by Beethoven or Mozart that is notated, really, if it's going to be a great performance, it has to sound like the music is created there and then in the moment, which is exactly what it's like when you go to one of Kansab's concerts. He's the composer, the orchestra, the conductor, and everything, all in one in these performances, because the music is being created there and then. So it's that ability to create music afresh that's so healthy. But I think the other the way it works is that the Indian musicians that I've worked with over the years, many find it actually very difficult to have to stick with the structure that the orchestra has to have, because it doesn't work otherwise. So that's been a fascinating journey as well, that we all learn from each other.
But I have realized there have been many symphonies which are very, very long also. Tchaikovsky and Beethoven and Mozart, but certain, I've heard the 6-minute piece also, which, the Bach 6-minute piece.
Yes.
So, but sometimes very, very long pieces,
Yes.
which I lost interest while listening.
Yes.
So it happens.
Yeah, the great Western composers.
Can you tell me the longest symphony orchestra who has composed?
Probably the biggest in terms of size and length is Mahler's Symphony of 1,000, which literally needs to be performed properly, needs 1,000 people. It is so huge. So a choir basically of 1,000 people, plus an orchestra with about 250 people, and
The duration?
about an hour and a half. So, but it is an amazing piece. But many people have said that a lot of compositions could be shorter. They could say the same amount of emotional expression in less time. Although I'm not sure I'd want to cut down any of Beethoven's symphonies. Having said that,
This reminds me, I have mentioned one of the great singers in the book, Ustad Amir Khan Sahab. He was called musician's musician because he sang for himself. He never tried to realize what the people want. And the other singer was Ustad Bade Ghulam Ali Khan Sahab. He's mentioned in the book also. But Ghulam Ali Khan Sahab knew the pulse of people, and I have seen that his concert, at the end, there used to be big encores, and many times people loved his music. So once in Delhi, there was a private program. The first LG of Delhi, Mr. A.N. Jha. So he had invited all the governors of India. It was an official dinner. And so the governor sent the car, the huge Impala car, and we were all going in the car to the governor's house. So Khan Sahab, in the car, he tells me, कि यार देखो ये सब गवर्नर आ रहे हैं, इनको म्यूज़िक की समझ नहीं है, तुम भी कम बजाना, मैं भी कम गाऊंगा. The Khan Sahab said that the governors, they don't understand music, so you should also play less, I'll also sing less. I said, Khan Sahab, I'm going to listen to you. What will I perform in front of you? So we reached there, and within half an hour, I finished my program, and then Khan Sahab started singing. And there were about 5, 6, 7 people around us. Baba, Baba, bahut अच्छे क्या बात. तो खान साहब गा रहे हैं और हम लोग बाबा बाबा कर रहे हैं. उनका मन लग गया, वो गाए जा रहे हैं. और उसके बाद उनका स्टाइल था, गाते गाते ही विल स्विच ओवर टू डिफरेंट राग. वो रुकते भी नहीं थे, मिलाते भी नहीं थे, एकदम दूसरा राग. मारवा गा रहे हैं, दरबारी शुरू हो गए. सेकंड राग शुरू हो गए तो गवर्नर ने मुझे साइन लैंग्वेज में पूछा कि कब ख़त्म करेंगे ये. The governor in sign language asked me when he's going to end his concert. So I told him, I don't know when he's going to end. So he's going on singing and Baba, Baba, हम लोग करे जा रहे हैं. So I told governor, please take your guest in my sign language, but I can't stop him, but you take your guest for dinner. So he took all the guests because it was an official dinner, only governor was sitting there. Khan Sahib started third rag also. So I told governor, you also go. So it was all dark in the hall and there was spotlight on all of us. तो हम लोग वाह 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 खान साहब क्या बात है, हम तारीफ करे जा रहे हैं और वो गाए जा रहे हैं. तो suddenly I think he noticed that there is nobody in the hall. तो मैं पास में बैठा था, कहने यार आज कुछ ज़्यादा हो गया. मैं कहा नहीं खान साहब बड़ा मज़ा आ रहा था. So suddenly he stopped and he said that perhaps it was too much today. I said, no, we were enjoying your music. So such musicians came to this planet. They really, and they were trendsetter. I mean, a lot of singers, classical singer, they are following Ustad Amir Khan Sahab or Bade Ghulam Ali Khan Sahab.
And a musician that we both worked with was Pandit Ravi Shankar. And there's a lovely picture of you in the book. And they've both swapped instruments. So Pandit Ravi Shankar is playing the sarod, and Khan Sahib is playing sitar. And I would just have loved to have been there to hear the music that
There was no music.
Ah, okay. It's a great picture, though.
Because every instrument needs practice, sadhana. And if there is any question from the audience, we can take 2 or 3 questions. Yes. देखिए बेगम अख्तर, because of her ghazal came to that platform, she was a symbol of tehzeeb, adab, or she used to worship Ustad Gharana. There is a story in this book I have written that there was a concert in Kashmir, Srinagar, and the governor was there in the audience, some Mr. Dayal.